Welcome to the beautiful city of Split, Croatia, as we begin this Olympic qualifying tournament with Germany against Mexico in Group A. Yes, en route to Tokyo 2020, we are live from the Palladium Arena on the Adriatic coast. A very warm welcome from myself, Tim Long, alongside Manchester Giants head coach Lloyd Gardner. There are set to be fans in the house at this 11,000 capacity arena, up to 40% capacity when Croatia play tomorrow. But we start with what should be a fascinating matchup, Lloyd, between these two.
Oh, absolutely, Tim. Well, pleasure to be here with you, first of all. As you said, beautiful arena, and it should be a fantastic tournament that we have going on. A couple of teams really will be battling it out at the top.
The 6 teams competing here in Split for just one ticket to the Olympics. As is the case at each of the 4 qualifying tournaments around the world. Our 6 teams split into 2 groups of 3. Germany against Mexico comes from Group A. Later tonight, Tunisia face Brazil in Group B. Tomorrow, Mexico in action again against the other team in this group. Russia, Brazil take on the host Croatia tomorrow as well. Looking at some of those in attendance here, ready for this one, Lloyd. Who's the favourite? Who's the underdog? How do you see each group unfolding here in Split over the course of the week?
Well, a difficult question to say who's the favourite coming in. I think obviously being based here in Split, the Croatians probably have that small advantage, but we know the quality of the nations here, you know, all of the European teams, but then of course the powerhouse in Brazil coming from South America with a Croatian head coach as well. So a fantastic storyline ready to unfold there.
We're ready for the official introduction of the 2 sets of players, starting with Mexico. They've been to the Olympics 7 times, bronze medalists way back in 1936, but they've not qualified since 1976. In 2014, they made their 5th World Cup appearance, but their first in 40 years, although their 2 medals at the Americas Championships have come over the last 3 editions. Gold in 2013 and bronze last time out in 2017.
Yeah, I think for this Mexican team, it's, you know, a couple of veteran faces they're going to rely on again. The benefit that they do have is the continuity of players. So a number of these players have been here and done this before. You know, a host of these guys were in Turin in 2016 for the Olympic qualifiers then. They've continued that through. There's 6 of these players here that we have in Croatia have played the AmeriCup qualifiers as well for the Mexicans. So a host of guys that know each other. They've played together for a long time. They've grown up together. I think that's the advantage they have.
In Germany now, they surprised plenty of people with their performances at the last Eurobasket in 2017. They upset France in the round of 16, fell to eventual champion Spain in the quarter-finals. It was their best finish since winning silver in 2005, but they did flatter to deceive at the 2019 World Cup in China. They fell on the group stage when they finished behind the Dominican Republic. They'll look to put that right here in Split, and of course Lloyd as co-hosts at next year's Eurobasket.
Yeah, it's an interesting time for German basketball. Domestically really started to make improvements, and now I think we see some of these younger faces starting to come into the senior national team for the first time. You know, it's going to be fun to watch them play.
Let's pause for just a moment now for the national anthems of both teams.
Please remain standing for the national anthem.
It's the 1993 champions of Europe against the 2013 champions of the Americas. Germany against Mexico here at the Spaladium Arena in Split, as we take a look at your officiating team for this first game here on this court in Croatia. Now Mexico arrive here with a blend of youth and experience. Key players remain the likes of 35-year-old Paul Stoll, 31-year-old shooting guard Paco Cruz, who led the Turkish league in scoring this past season, and of course star centre Gustavo Ayon, now at the age of 36, a two-time EuroLeague champion, tournament MVP, as Mexico won continental gold for the only time back in 2013.
Yeah, no surprises in the starting five for Mexico, really. Stoll and Cruz were the creators in the backcourt. And that man there, Gustavo Ayon up front, he is 36 years of age now, but a man who's been there and done it before. This is a man who's averaged 17 points a game at a World Cup before. He is the real key performer on the inside for this Mexican team. I'm looking forward to that matchup against Johannes Voigtmann on the other side for the German team. I think that Ayon has to win that matchup.
Omar Quintero, the head coach of Mexico, said in the build-up that they had a blend of three generations, legends, form players, and players with great potential. Well, Germany went all out in a bid to secure appropriate insurance for star guard Dennis Schroeder to compete here in Split. But that wasn't possible due to his status as a free agent, so there's greater responsibility on fellow NBAers Zuzak Bonga and Moritz Wagner, aged 21 and 24 respectively, and a core of players experienced in the big leagues of Europe, featuring the likes of point guard Modo Low, frontliners Johannes Voigtmann, Danilo Bartel and Johannes Thiemann.
Well, this lineup they've gone with a lot in preparation for Coach Henrik Rodel there. Voigtmann on the inside, Bonga kind of a creative force, and then they've got the scoring punch of Mo Wagner to come in off the bench. You know, arguably having his best spell in the NBA towards the back end of the season. He got transferred over to the Orlando Magic, and at that point really stepped up his game. Last 11 NBA games, you see the numbers, 11 points a game as he became a regular starter for them. So Wagner really starting to come into his own now.
Henrik Rudel, the head coach of the national side since 2017, an assistant before that as well. And 178 caps as a player for Germany, helping them to their Eurobasket trophy in 1993, as well as bronze medals at the 2002 World Championships. Mexico won bronze at the very first edition of the Olympics, the basketball tournament in 1936. They've not qualified for 45 years now. They've lost 5 of their last 7 in one of these qualifying tournaments. And this is a huge test for this group of players here this evening. Confirmation there of that tough record in recent Olympic qualifying tournaments, Lloyd. Perhaps Germany the favourites tonight, but it should be a close matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, you know, the Germans have come in with a good preparation as well. They hosted the Super Cup, which they won, defeating Italy, Tunisia, and the Czech Republic as well. So they'll take that momentum into this game, I'm sure. For the Mexicans, you know, their build-up didn't go quite as well. Suffered a heavy defeat against Serbia a couple of times, but they did get a victory over Tunisia. So, as I said, for me, you know, it's all about this new blend of German players that are coming through. A few of them, they're playing their first senior competitions for the national team, whereas on the other side, you've got a Mexican team with guys like Paco Cruz off his big season in Turkey that you mentioned, Stoll in the backcourt, and then, again, Gustavo Ayon, who I think is such a linchpin here tonight.
Two sets of players take to the court now, ready for the opening tip of this tournament here in Split. We're getting underway in the 4 Olympic qualifying tournaments. And just 4 tickets remain to Tokyo 2020. Germany looking to qualify for their 6th Olympics, their first since finishing 10th in Beijing in 2008. They're ranked 17th in the world, Mexico 24th. Only 2 games for each nation here in the group stage. Little room for error if they're to reach Saturday's semi-finals. Mexico with the first possession and the first shot. Also the first rebound, commanding on the offensive glass from the number 3 Fabian Jaimes.
Yeah, just a quick look at the matchups there. You know, I think for Mexico, the challenge is going to be how are they going to score points. Paco Cruz is the main guy. That's a tough matchup for him. Here we see it. Bonga taking the challenge of guarding him, trying to slow him down.
And they get a good look at the basket from mid-range. They do get the first score. And inevitably so, it had to be Paco Cruz, who averaged close to 20 points per game in the Turkish league this past season.
Yeah, well, that's an automatic 15 for Mexico, no problem at all with Cruz. The question is who else is going to support him?
Germany's first possession. And they get an open three off the back of it as well for Danilo Bartels. An offensive rebound that's touched back to Modo Low. And a three again. Off the mark once more, this time from Andreas Obst, the 24-year-old two-time German champion.
Both teams take the opening possession from Germany. Mexico giving up some size, happy to force them to the perimeter. Germany, I think, two good looks for them from three, from guys who can knock you down.
Here's Obst again. Averaged 11 points in the Euro Cup with Ulm this season. And helps to lead to Germany's first score of this tournament as they tie things up early on.
It's important for them to shoot it well from the outside in the early stages. If Mexico are going to try and pack the lane a little bit, try and take away that height advantage, you know, it loosens the defense up, being able to knock down some early shots.
Paco Cruz again, edging his way inside, little bounce pass. And he found Gustavo Ayón looking on the baseline, and he does his thing.
It's all Paco Cruz, isn't it? Every possession so far running through him. It's going to be a long tournament, a lot of possessions.
Germany prodding and probing on the perimeter again, this time the long two for Obst off the mark. Rebound secured by Ayón. And releases down the floor, Paul Stoll, the 35-year-old point guard. He looks to work with Ayón on the perimeter, bounce pass into the nice hands of the big man again, but he misses this time, and the rebound recovered by Voetman. He's leading the fast break. It's tipped out of bounds beyond the baseline.
Something we haven't talked about, the tempo of the game is important as well. You see Germany there. Voetman grabs the rebound, pushes it. He had beaten Ayón down the floor, tries to throw the really tough pass, but I think Germany want to keep that tempo high. Got a lot of bodies to come in and a lot of guys who can play at a faster tempo.
Here's Bonga looking to show his skills, denied by Ayón. Isaac Bonga spins into Gustavo Ayón, who comes up with a huge rejection early on. Ayón certainly sending a message in the opening few minutes of this ball game. He's now got a couple of points, a couple of rebounds and a block shot.
Yeah, well, what we've seen from Mexico offensively, as we see the block from Ayón, you know, middle third ball screen, a lot of the ball in the hands of Paco Cruz, a lot of, you know, roll from Gustavo Ayón. You know, really like the design early. Get the two best offensive players you have, a lot of touches. Here it is again.
It's Cruz again to the elbow this time, back to Ayón. Nice pass from the big man. Off the mark though, on the inside by Fabian Jaimes as they look to add a third prong to the attack. Low. He's had a really good season. Modo Low, the 28-year-old. That's a nice pass. Bartel back out, wide open in the corner is Bonga. Misses the shot, rebound secured by Cruz, but Germany taking plenty of three-point attempts. Stoll had his pocket picked. And Modo Low down to the hardwood to gather the loose ball. And Mexico have shown early on that Germany are going to need to fight to match them. And Modo Low stepped up in that regard there.
Mexico have the quality through this five. There's no question of that. The question mark, perhaps, is how long they can sustain it. Can they sustain this this performance when they go to the bench, and can some of their veteran players play big minutes, not only here tonight, but in the other games as well?
Here's Voetman again, and he's fouled by Jaimes.
You want to commit cheap fouls like that, Mexico. Jaimes, you know, he's trying to pressure. He's given up so much size to Voetman out there that he's trying to pressure him to make it uncomfortable, but cheap fouls like that are going to play into the German hands, I think.
It's the first foul from Mexico. Germany with a couple already in the opening 3 minutes. Looking to take the lead here. Bartel threatens the three, tries to get past Ayón. Far easier said than done, but he shows no fear in the land of the Giants and earns himself a trip to the foul line.
Gustavo Ayón doesn't like the call, and you know, going back a long way to Turin in 2016 for the last Olympic qualifiers, you know, Gustavo Ayllón repeatedly got in foul trouble for Mexico. It was a big storyline. Every time they played a big game, every time they needed him, you know, he just couldn't stay on the floor. Obviously, we're a lot further along in his career. He's a lot more of a veteran presence now. It's important. He has to stay out of foul trouble because, you know, with all due respect to the rest of the Mexican bench, they don't have the quality of a man like Ayllón ready to come in off the bench.
It all revolves around the two-time EuroLeague champion with Real Madrid, the former All-EuroLeague second teamer. Gustavo Ayllón is back in Mexico now and putting up huge numbers. He's picked up his first foul of this one. James. Here's Stoll now. So many veterans on this Mexican team. Giron back to Stoll. He's going to take it several feet back, and he nails it. Pinpoint precision from the 35-year-old point guard.
Well, that's what he can do. He's got range, Paul Stoll. He will shoot from anywhere.
Here's Bartle. Mexico by 3. Almost 4 minutes in. Futman. Now Obst again. Trying to get past James. Pulls the trigger on a long 2. Off the hop might go. Futman makes sure.
First time they've really given up that offensive rebound. Futman was in there. You know, no one challenged him. Germany have such a size advantage on the glass. Mexico have done well to kind of keep them to the outside, but they must rebound.
Futman's a big man who can really stretch the floor with his outside shooting as well. Here's Giron. Gets the roll around and the drop, and Mexico keep on firing on offense.
It's little plays like that, they're going to be the difference for Mexico. The other guys stepping up.
Low into Futman, who battles his way to the basket again. And Johannes Futman has started to take charge.
Second foul on James. Just having a look, because it was James and Ayllón together, both challenging this shot. The question was who the foul was against. So that's 2 on him, and this is the question for Mexico when they go to the bench. You know, we know the Germans, who have also made a couple of subs now, they have strength and depth to come in.
It's back-to-back baskets for Futman. He's got 3 rebounds already as well. And a trip to the line here to try and complete a 3-point play. He's so efficient in the EuroLeague this season. 8.5 points, 5 rebounds a game. He shot 61% inside, 46% from the perimeter as well. We'll get a second bite of the cherry here from the stripe. Even more impressive numbers at the 2019 World Cup for Germany in China. That efficiency not translating to the foul line, but they get the offensive rebound off the back of it, and a missed 3 from Obst. Stoll. So Germany down just 1. After committing the first 2 fouls of the game, Mexico then have since committed the last 3 in a row.
I think the other thing for Germany is they haven't got the three-point shot to go yet. You know, good looks, haven't knocked them down. So they'll be fine, just trailing by 1 early stages here.
Paco Cruz from the elbow, misses it. Rebound secured by Niels Giffey. Giffey on the bounce towards the basket. And they'll work it around the perimeter again, perhaps. Modo low. A club teammate of Giffey at Alba Berlin misses the shot. Offensive rebound once more. Futman, at the moment, having the freedom over the Mexican glass.
And that's the second on Ayllón as well. And this is what we were kind of talking about. If Germany are going to try to beat Mexico from the three-point line, and they're going to take the threes that Mexico are giving them, Mexico must rebound. They can't give up threes and then give up offensive rebounds. You've got to pick your poison a little. And the problem, offensive rebounds leads to what? Second chance opportunities. That's where Ayllón's picking up the foul. Now he's gone to the bench. A complete change in the front line for Mexico.
Yeah, Johannes Futman might get plenty more freedom now that Ayllón goes to the bench. 2 fouls after a little over 5 minutes. And the 4th team foul on Mexico as well. So any further fouls on their defense will send Germany to the line for the rest of this first quarter. Futman now has 6 points and 5 rebounds. Here's Stoll. Takes the static outside shot over the top of the German giant and drills it.
He has to step up big time now, Paul Stoll. Otherwise, everything's going to be on Paco Cruz. It was interesting to watch Voigtman, apologize to his coach straight away as soon as the three was taken, because he knows that is Paul Stoll's game. He should have taken that away.
Voigtman himself misses a three from the corner. Further encouragement for Mexico here, traveling down the floor swiftly. Paco Cruz really at the top of his game as a scorer.
That's just incredible from Paco Cruz. Dribbled between two defenders, took the hit, still managed to get the finish as well.
Low creates the space on the perimeter. Bartle off the mark. Rebound secured by Amigo. And here comes Mexico's main man on the floor again, Cruz. Back out to Giron. Spread the floor. Giron looks to go one-on-one against Lowe, who's a very good defender. And Bartle comes up with the rebound. Giffey on to Voigtman. It's for Bartle to attack down the lane, and he's fouled on his route to the rim by Giron.
Fouls are going to really come back to haunt Mexico here. And as much as, you can look at Mexico and say, well, they shouldn't commit the foul. You've got to give credit to Germany in that scenario, because it was all about the tempo. They got the ball, they pushed the tempo. That's how they had the opening down the floor with a 5-on-4 advantage. Bartel was open, and that's how he was getting fouled, because he had a wide open layup.
Germany at the line again, this time with Danilo Bartel, a four-time German League All-Star, Finals MVP as he led Bayern Munich to the title in 2018. He's had an efficient season with Fenerbahce. Mexico still ahead by 3. 3.5 minutes to play in the first. And there's a first foul in a long time on Germany, the first on Modo Low. With all these positive signs that we talk about in favor of Germany, Mexico still have been able to keep their noses in front for now.
Difference right now, it's just shot making. Mexico have been super efficient in the shots they've got. They've been able to knock them down, as we see Cruz showing you how it's done.
Continues to add to his impressive stat line in this first quarter. He's been absolutely superb. 6 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists already. And the defense as well. And Stoll in transition, dishes it off, and the layup good from Paco Cruz to beat the shot block attempt. And Mexico opening up a gap here with 3 minutes of the first quarter to play. Timeout, Germany.
What a start for Paco Cruz at 31 years of age. Seems to be getting better with age. I mean, when you mentioned what a great great season he's had in Turkey. This is a guy who has been there, he's done it before. He's played, all around Europe. But career best last year, 19.5 points per game. And he has never averaged less than 11 points a game for Mexico since he's come into the senior national team way back in 2014.
Just looking at some of the numbers, you were talking about the difference being making shots or not. Lloyd, well, Germany just 3 of 13 from the field so far. Mexico have taken exactly the same number of shots. They've made 8 of 13.
And I think the difference right now is the quality of shots that Mexico are getting aren't necessarily better than the Germans. It's just they've made them. Said like Paco Cruz just finds a way to get the ball in the basket. For Germany, they've had a couple of really good looks. They just haven't dropped early. And again, they've got quality coming in. So Mo Wagner is in to the game for the first time. He's a guy we know can make shots. So it's not panic stations yet. Very early indeed for this German team, that's for sure.
Modo Low off to Zaibu. Low gets it back. And now Voigtman with the entry pass inside. Wagner looking to wriggle around the defense and gets fouled in the act. He'll go to the line for 2.
I think one of the interesting things about this German team, though, is said, you know, a few guys coming in for the first time, Mo Wagner being one of those players, you know, hasn't played for the senior national team before. It's plays like coming out of the timeout. Well, who's the go-to for Germany? Where are you going to go for your points? It was interesting. They went to him on the low block. The other way, if it's Mexico, you know it's Paco Cruz. We need a basket. This is who we're going to get the ball. This is who we're going to get a touch for. I'm not sure Germany have that because it's such a new team and they don't have the continuity yet.
And they don't have the confidence yet either. Talk about them being just 3 of 13 from the field. After that one, they're only 5 of 9 from the line, but they are getting there at least on a regular basis. It's a margin of 6 points. Stoll takes another from distance, misses. There's Modo Low, very quick and athletic down the floor. Giffey looking to bump bodies with his opponent, drop the ball in the process. Stoll able to pick it up. Just the second turnover from Germany, it leads to the 3, and Paco Cruz is at the top of his game right now.
Well, Germany have to do something about that matchup. You know, that's the difference. They're using him in this high screen. We see it there. You can't give him that much room. He's been incredible early stages. Surely you've got to get the ball out of his hands.
Zaibu. Path into the paint opens up, but he lost it on the way through. Mexico building off their defensive foundation again. It leads to the shot in the corner for Paco Cruz, who's been on fire, but he can't get that one to go. Modo Low from downtown gets it. Just the second on the outside for Germany off 9 attempts.
They will start to make those threes. There's no doubt about it. And it's just a matter of when. An unsportsmanlike foul. Yeah, a little swing of the elbow afterwards. It's a shame because Low, you know, straightaway hits a 3, starts to get a little momentum. He's hit both the 2 threes for them, and now he goes out after picking up the unsportsmanlike, picking up his second foul. So he's the one guy started to get some momentum, and now he's gone to the bench.
Yeah, Low goes to the bench on 2 of 4 3-point shooting. The rest of the Germany team 0 of 5. Unsportsmanlike foul means free throws and possession for Mexico. Their first trip to the line in the game. Jorge Camacho, who's there, hits the second. Mexico lead by 7, a minute and a half to play in the first quarter.
And Mexico did a similar thing through their warm-up games. You know, games against Poland and Serbia. They played really well first half. They build up little leads as well. The consistency is the question. So can they keep it going here?
Stoll on to Amigo, who goes to the basket. And he's surrounded by white jerseys.
That's not the shot that they need, Mexico.
Zaibu explodes through the paint, misses the shot, but the piece is picked up on the backboard by Johannes Thiemann.
They're the kind of mistakes Mexico haven't made. Bad shot on the offensive end, gave up the defensive, you know, the rebound as well.
Poked away, and now the runway opens up for Mo Wagner to produce the thrilling throwdown, and then to emote as Germany look to get going here in the Olympic qualifying tournament in Split.
Well, Germany underperformed so far, but this one little burst and they're right back into the game. Mexico, you almost feel for them. They played so well. They made probably 2 mistakes there. We said, you know, the bad shot on one end led to transition score, a poor pass for the first time really, turnover, breakaway layup, straight away Germany momentum, forced the timeout, they're back within 3.
And the fuse lit, and all of a sudden that 7-point Mexican buffer becomes just 1 possession.
I think for Mexico, the other key that we haven't really talked about is Orlando Mendes. He's come into the game, he's been quiet. He hasn't taken a shot yet, the number 13, but through the warm-up games, he was leading the scorer for them in 2 of the 4 games they've played. So he's had a couple of big games, In the win against Tunisia, he had 20 points. He's known as a three-point threat. So early on in the game, I said, you know, we know that we're going to get points from Paco Cruz. We know Paul Stoll's going to step up as well. Ion, arguably the third scorer. Without him on the floor, Mendes is probably the guy that's going to have to step up for this Mexican team and Coach Quintero.
We come back off the Mexican timeout in the final minute of the first quarter. Mexico by 3 with the ball. Stoll on to Paco Cruz. 11 points from Cruz to lead all scorers in this first quarter. He shot 5 of 8 from the field to help them build up that lead, but now different questions being asked of them by Germany.
And Cruz goes out here. He's going to get this 42 seconds plus the quarter break, and he'll probably be back at the start of the second. And now really is a question of who becomes the creator for Mexico.
Here is Orlando Mendes. Inside to Amigo. Amigo back out to the perimeter. Wide open three-point shot. Mexico could do with something going. It doesn't. And Zaibu looks to continue the German fight back. On it goes. Nice use of the basket to try and finish on the reverse from Bonga, but he can't complete. Stoll. He'll slow it down and take his time now with the shot clock turned off at the end of the first. Uses Amigo as a decoy back to the far side. Long two doesn't go down. Bonga, maybe a chance to throw it up a little bit too late for Germany, but still plenty of time to continue their comeback, having trailed by 7 in the first to Mexico. They've closed the gap to 3 and started to find their rhythm and find their flow at the end of the first quarter. Germany 19, Mexico 22.
Always innovating, creating. At Bet365, we're always innovating, creating. It's this constant pursuit of perfection that brought you Bet Builder. Live streaming, in-play betting, and match live. It's the reason we're the world's favourite online betting company. Please gamble responsibly.
To bring players off the bench that can play well, but also to change the style that they're able to play as well. So early on we saw Paco Cruz coming off that ball screen, getting a lot of room, and now you look at the German 5 that's out there. It's the same 5 that ended the quarter. A lot more versatility in being able to switch. So look out for Johannes Thiemann, look out for Mo Wagner switching that ball screen to take away the open shots of Paco Cruz and Paul Stoll.
Stoll, who receives the ball for Mexico at the start of the second, guarded by Zaibu. And an offensive foul straight away. Foul trouble, a real problem for Mexico in the first quarter. That's not the start they want. In that regard, out with the turnover here at the start of the second.
And the thing about the Mexican fouls is they've been poor fouls. So things like that, an illegal screen where you didn't need to set it. Your player was going to be open.
He's at Bonga on the bounce pass. Thiemann adjusts the shot mid-air. Rebound secured by Camacho. Stoll. To the far side. And Mendes. Stoll back out. Almost picked off by Giffey. If he can catch up with it, he very nearly did. But we've seen a bit more of that from Germany over the last 5 minutes of play as well.
Smart tip from Giffey as well. You see how he knew he wasn't going to get it, but shot clock down to 7 seconds, and it would have been 8 or 9 if he hadn't have got the tip. So just managed to tip it out on the baseline. Now Mexico got to go to full length of the floor here in 7 seconds.
Mendes guarded by the lefty Bonga as well. Has to get his shot away, and nowhere near. Zaibu. Seaman rolls inside after the pick and keep it on the perimeter. Wagner directing traffic as well. Seaman to Wagner. 6 seconds on the shot clock. Throws it up high. And Giffey couldn't get underneath it. Stoll. Mexico searching for the first score of the second. High catch. Amigo disrupted, not able to convert.
That's where Ion being on the bench really hurts Mexico. Usually that's him on the finish, but you know, he's sitting out with 2 fouls. I'd like to see Germany go to the low block a little bit more. Got such a height advantage. They've got such, you know, a size mismatch in so many positions. The question is, you know, who is the post player for them? Doesn't have to necessarily be a center. I'm not sure of the guys on the roster at the moment who they go to in the low block, but it has to be their advantage that they have over this Mexican team.
And they've taken as many 3-point attempts as they have 2-point attempts so far in the game, Germany.
And sometimes you have to take a lot of threes, but it's because you force the defense to take away the easy ones at the basket. I don't think Germany's done that. They've gone to the outside early, they've gone there often, but it's let's get the ball into the low block, let's force the Mexicans to adjust, and then you can change the way you play.
There's another 3 missed by the captain, Benzing, but they are getting offensive rebounds off the back of those misses, and Bonga looks to make the most of this one. Can't as he spins into mid-range. He's 0 of 4 from the field now, he's at Bonga. Paco Cruz looking to get Mexico back in business. Another turnover, though. And Germany turn it right back over to Mexico, so they get away with that one.
Coach Rodel is not a happy man on the sideline, and I'm not surprised. It's a cheap turnover, no need for it. Really disjointed right now, Germany. It looks like their first game, which of course it is. You know, they have played some warm-up games, but right now, this first quarter has not been high-level for basketball from Germany.
And they started to find that level the final few minutes of the first, but now we're without a point for either team in the first 2 minutes of the second. Stoll steps back into the corner, crosses over against Zaibu. Tenacious defense from Zaibu. Stoll eventually gets free, got it up in time, but a tough shot.
You mentioned both teams struggling for points. That suits Mexico more than Germany. I think they'll be happy with a low-scoring game here.
Zaibu takes the long 2, and he gets nothing but net. It's over the top of the 2'8" Daniel Amigo. Paco Cruz still with 11 points in the game to lead all scorers. Here he goes again, Cruz. Got free, and he's scored again. 13 points off 6 of 9 shooting.
I mean, he's unstoppable right now. Anything he wants to do, he's not fast, Paco Cruz, but he's just so good. Using his body control, getting to his spots, and then, as we said earlier, just such an efficient scorer.
Zaibu got it to go despite the mid-air contact from Marco Ramos.
A little spark from Zaibu in there. A jump shot, strong penetration, another foul against Mexico. And look at Cruz, the other way. As I said, you know, he's going away from the basket. The angle's all wrong, but just turns that body. Watch, you know, a little fake as well to freeze the defense. Impressive stuff from Paco Cruz.
Making it look so easy, but off the back of that, a chance at a 3-point play now for Germany with Yoshiko Zaibu. Played outside of Germany for the first time in his career this past season. He averaged close to 13 points, 3.5 rebounds for Chalon Rams in France. All the Germany level.
Sorry, Tim, all the talk we've done about how good Mexico have been, and you look at the scoreboard, 24 apiece. So, you know, Germany, as I said, it hasn't been a great first quarter for them, but I think they've done well to stay in the game here. You know, they've done the things they need to, and if they can just start to get some rhythm offensively, I think that's going to really sort of come as time goes.
Henrik Rudel will be thinking that things can only get better for Germany, and they can start again almost from here. Level playing field, 7 minutes of the first half to play, 24-24. Jose Estrada. There's the danger man Cruz. Ion back in the game on 2 fouls. Ion looking to post up and go to work. Shoots over the top of Wagner, misses, and Benson grabs the board. Zaibu. Ion has to be extra careful not to commit a 3rd foul. He does well that time to interfere with the shot without doing so. And here he is now running the floor, dishes off on the bounce pass, reverse finish. Amigo will go to the line.
What Mexico do well is, you know, they recognize straight away Ion's back in the game. So what do we have to do? We've got to play through him. We've got to get him touches. So there's the attempted finish from Amigo, but that was the pass from Ion. So the moment he sets foot on the floor, if he is going to be limited with minutes because of foul trouble and perhaps because of his age now as well, they've got to use him when he's out there to maximize him.
Off the back of his reintroduction, it's Amigo who's at the line but misses the first. Mexico 1 of 3. As a team, make it 1 of 4 against an opponent whom they need each and every point they can get. And Estrada, they do get a second chance scoring opportunity off the back of those missed free throws though. Seven on the shot clock. Jose Estrada to inbound the ball. Paco Cruz free for the 3, and you know what that means.
Foul on Germany as well. That's a big play. Foul on Germany and the 3 counts. And again, for Paco Cruz, he makes it look so easy. He comes off the screen and he's wide open for the shot. You think, well, how does he get that open? But what you don't see, he set a perfect back screen before he came to the ball. So his man's forced to help because he took the time, because he set a great screen. That's how he got open. So the execution from Cruz that, you know, looks so easy, he makes it, looks so easy for him, is something that's quite difficult, but he does it so well.
He's got 16 points in the first 14 minutes of this game. 7 of 10 from the field. He's 2 of 4 from downtown now. Mexico by 3, looking to hold off that German comeback. Estrada to the far side. Offensive rebound, Gustavo Ion, a fresh 14 on the shot clock again for Mexico. And they're not happy with that call.
2 offensive rebounds for Ion since he's come back into the game, though. 1 on the free throw, 1 here. He'll be frustrated. He doesn't keep possession, but, you know, good work from him.
Fugman takes his time. Andreas Obst. Far side Benzing, the German captain, onto the corner. Good look for 3, and it goes for Wagner, and Germany get level again.
Bartel started the game, didn't really get going from 3. Wagner comes in at that spot and makes his first one. So that's a good sign for Germany. Said they are going to start to knock these 3-point shots down, I'm sure of it.
Ion, he's not going to take one. Paco Cruz might, though. Gets inside past Obst. He's hitting Germany from all distances and angles right now.
The switch to the left hand from Cruz as well. Just goes straight at the defender without sort of batting an eye. Just switches hands in mid-air to get the shot away.
Before the midway point of the second quarter, he's got 18 points in 12 minutes on court. Bit of contact both ways there, but the foul on Mexico.
See, Paco Cruz, for me, is guarding Robin Benzing. You've got to look to go to Benzing in the low block. Benzing's got such a height advantage, and Cruz is causing you so many problems at the other end. Either get some fouls on him or wear him down on that end of the floor as well.
Instead, it's another 3, missed by Fugman. So Germany now 3 of 12 from distance. Mendes. Looking to work with Ion, gets it back. Mendes against Benzing. Back now to Ion, who attacks Footman. Gustavo Ion still got it.
Yeah, lovely little low post move from Ion. That's what Germany don't have right now. Someone to do the same thing. See if Wagner can do it.
Foul on the floor. It's Mexico's 4th of the quarter, so any further fouls for the next 4.5 minutes until half-time on their defense will send Germany to the line. There's that move from Ion. 4 points for him, as well as 7 rebounds. Bonga to inbound. Obst taking another 3 for Germany. Rattles out. Bonga underneath it. And there is that 5th foul on Mexico. They might only be 3 of 14 from 3-point range, Lloyd, but they've grabbed 8 offensive rebounds, Germany.
Yeah, I think that's the positive. And it isn't necessarily about the number of threes they're taking, but, you know, for me, it's the fact that it's the first thought. That's the issue for Germany right now. I would like to see them, as I said, you know, I think the advantage is to try and get some low post touches, to try and force Mexico to you know, really pack the lane, really take away that game from them. And what should happen is Germany should be able to score with power points, you know, points in the paint, and in turn that will force the Mexican defense to really collapse in. Then they're taking the threes. So you're getting kickouts for open threes rather than coming off screens or rather than taking these difficult shots. They have done an excellent job, Germany, as you mentioned, on the glass. You know, if you are going to take a lot of threes, rebounding is you know, a real good way to fill your shooters with confidence, because it doesn't matter if you're 3 for 14 if you're getting second chance points from it.
Your byproduct perhaps of going on the inside more is getting that man there, Gustavo Ion, on a 3rd foul. He at the moment seems to be pivotal to the Mexican push.
Absolutely, I think you're right. And as we mentioned, the other thing is to try to go at Paco Cruz. He's got to play big minutes. He's carrying the load offensively. Try and wear him down on that end of the floor, as well as you know, really putting pressure on him defensively.
Bonga makes both from the line. Germany now 8 of 12 as a team. Yeah. Estrada. Amigo looks to hand it off. Paco Cruz, can he continue to shoot the lights out here? Not this time, because there's a foul. It's only the 4th on Germany.
And, you know, for Germany, they've got Robin Benzing trying to chase Orlando Mendes off screens. That's a tough matchup for him. So while you've got the disadvantage at this end, the reason to do it is because you've got the advantage at the other end. So that's where you've got to use Benzing offensively.
Here's Amigo, spins against Footman. That's a lovely move from Daniel Amigo, the 25-year-old, to beat Johannes Footman, the 2 meters 9 forward.
He struggled to score so far, Amigo, but that was a beautiful move. This is what I'm talking about from Germany. Here comes the help. Something's going to be open from it.
Benzing back out to Bonga. Estrada just got to him, but Bonga uses that quick first step and the athleticism to get to the basket. Can't score. He's at Bonga. Now 0 of 5 from the field here. Here's Ion at the other end, looking to show him how it's done.
Beautiful. I can't say enough good things about Paco Cruz. Pass over the top, absolutely on the money. You know, that relationship between Cruz and Ion has been there for the Mexican national team for a number of years, just absolutely on point. Those two work perfectly together again.
You can tell they know each other inside and out. And Germany is still trying to figure it out. They trail again by 6, 3.5 to play in the first half.
I think they need Germany just calm down again, draw something up into the low post once more, allow Benzing, just make sure everybody else is set around him, know where you want to get a shot from, either Benzing on the low post or somebody on the perimeter that you want to be shooting a 3. So just out of this timeout, I'd look for Coach Rodel to put those players in the right position. Either Benzing's going to take a power basket or he just kicks it out to somebody who's taken a wide open 3, knowing this help is going to come.
So much talent for Germany. Key to getting the best out of it is getting the right players to take the right shots at the right times. Just look at the two players that have taken the most shots for them. Lloyd, Obst is 0 of 5, Bonga's 0 of 6.
Yeah, and again, you know, Andreas Obst is a great three-point shooter. So I don't mind him being 0 of 3 from 3. I don't mind the shots he's taken. But I think you've got to try and get him a good one. So right now, coming out of the timeout, I mean, he's gone to the bench. But same with Bonga. It's like, well, what does Bonga do? How are we going to get him going? What's the opportunity that we have? If it is going to Benzing on the low post, do you want to cut Bonga towards the basket, see if you can get him a cheap one there? Or is it Bonga that you go to in the block, see if you can get him some momentum, some confidence here at the end of the first half?
Modo low at the point for Germany. 3.5 to play in the first half. Benzing takes the long 2, misses with a hand in his face from Amigo. Offensive rebound again for Germany, though. This time with 3 and another miss. And maybe third time lucky. Mexico just can't match them on the backboard right now.
Yeah, I don't mind the play design, though. They did go at Paco Cruz. They tried to get Benzing going. You know, he's a guy that can shoot the ball. Excellent work on the offensive glass, and so often you see the best three-point shots come from offensive rebounds. So probably, you know, maybe a little quick from Benzing, but it was off an offensive rebound, so he gets a wide open look.
It leads to the 13th and 14th free throw attempts for Germany in this first half.
I mean, the key, just looking at the stats, they've made, what, 9 foul shots now. So 9 points of their 30s from the free throw line and just 29% from the field. That's everything you need to know right now for Germany. They just can't make shots. They haven't been bad shots a lot of that time. They just got to find a way to get some consistent offense.
They're only down by 5. Ramos hands it off to Paco Cruz. Mendes. Almost lost the handle on the ball, then did. And Germany celebrate, forcing the turnover.
He's been good defensively, Giffey, since he's come on. Really, you know, hounded anybody who's got the ball. Made a couple of good possessions down that end to create extra chances for Germany.
He's had a really good season with Alba Berlin. He's just got an interesting move to Žalgiris Kaunas. Here's Modo low. Step back, three-point shot, misses. Offensive rebound again is the story of the first half.
Well, their best offense right now, just throw it at the ring. You know you're going to miss, get an offensive rebound, because it's the only way they're scoring.
Yeah, who are we to question that? It's working for Germany to a large extent at the moment. And here they come again, Futman. Only a 2-point game. Low. Bartle. He can post up. He also passes the ball to the scorer's table.
It's just another example of Germany just so disjointed offensively at the moment. They do get it into the low post. They get it to Bartle, and he just throws it way up. I'm not sure who he was looking for. So we see Bonga on the offensive glass, but even the first shot from low, not sure I'm a fan. Early in the shot clock, step back, missed it badly.
Stop. Final 2 minutes of the second approaching here. Ion off to Paco Cruz. Paco Cruz taking the ring road around the defense. Stoll off the touch pass. And it's a three-pointer as they shifted on one further. Bonga the rebound, though. He's just had his first score as well. And Giffey was saying he was fouled on that shot. He's a very good three-point shooter, Giffey. Got nothing. Here's Ion getting in. Back door behind Futman and finds the finish.
Great work from Ion. Just set his man out. Watch out. He goes to screen and then doesn't set it. Just goes straight to the ring. And, you know, this is an interesting time. I think Mexico would like to take Ion out of the game, but they know they'd lost some momentum there. And you know, that's an important score. I think about maybe subbing him out for this last minute and a half. Don't let him pick up a third. If you're Germany, I think go at Ion right now. See if you can get that third foul in this last 99 seconds of the first half.
Ion looking to complete the three-point play. He does so. 9 points and 7 rebounds in the first half, as well as a big block shot for Gustavo Ion.
And on the way back, Coach Quintero calls him over, tells him don't foul on this possession.
It's Giffey inside. That'll be tested here as Ion almost plays half-hearted defense in response to that call.
Where's that been from Germany? That's what I've been asking for the whole game.
Stoll. On the left hand slips it into Ion, who shifts it from his left to his right, and he pulls out the Houdini move to find another finish and to hit double figures for the first half. And then challenging the shot again without fouling, but once more the offensive rebound, the tip from Bonga.
Mexico got beat on the perimeter. Ion had to help to try and challenge the shot. That's when he's out of position. He can't rebound. Somebody else has to fill in for him.
Mexico by 3. Stoll bounce pass Ion, trying to force it home over the top of Bartle. A chance to run for Bonga, who's as fast as anybody on the floor. Bartle, high catch. Can he reel it in on the baseline? He can, and he's barged over the baseline. So a foul on Mexico.
Technical foul on Cruz as well, I think. Let's have a look at this one. There wasn't much in it from that angle, was there? So it's 2 fouls on Cruz back-to-back because he got the personal and he's picked up the technical.
They are his first 2 fouls of the game, despite having played almost the entirety of this first half. The first half in which he's put up 18 points on 8 of 11 shooting. .36 seconds to go in the first half. It's been a close game throughout the first 2 quarters. 7 the largest lead for Mexico. A couple of ties for Germany, but for the most part trying to reel Mexico back in from that fairly small deficit. The technical good, so it's a 2-point game and Germany have the ball.
Referee's just checking who was fouled. I think it was Barthel. That's what they're discussing. We've shot the technical. This is for the foul on the rebound. The other question is who had possession. So did Barthel have the ball, or was it off the offensive rebound and he didn't yet have it in his hands? In which case it would be, you know, a non-possession foul rather than shots.
Will be 2 free throws because Mexico are at the limit. Just a case of who takes them. Will be, by the looks of it, Danilo Bartle. Six points, 3 rebounds a game with Fenerbahce as they reach the EuroLeague playoffs this season. And he gets Germany level, 40-40. In the final minute of the first half. Mexico aren't going to risk a 3rd foul on Ion. He's on the bench. Oh, no, he's not. Beg your pardon. He's inbounding the ball.
Germany sub teaming in for defense. See if he switches anything to take away Cruz here. Stoll. Neck and neck. 7 on the shot clock here. Stoll looking to get inside. Draws the attention of the German defense like moths to a flame and dishes off for Gabriel Giron to do the rest. Great guard play from Stoll. Just gets himself to the lane under control. Nice little pass as well. And he subs himself out of the game for defense. They want to pick up fouls. And you see Mexico changing the lineups. Smart play from them. Did not let Ion pick up number 3 here.
Yeah, so now Ion does go to the bench.
Yeah, same with Cruz as well. Don't want him to pick up his 3rd.
Shot clock turned off at the end of the second quarter. 13.8 seconds for Germany to travel the length of the floor and create. Zaibu, low. 2 very speedy guards. 4 seconds from Odo low. Nice crossover, once, then twice. Into traffic, though. And he didn't get his shot away after it looked like he might pull up on the perimeter. Mexico survived that scare and survived Germany's numerous attempts at a comeback to take the slenderest of leads into the halftime locker room. Germany 40, Mexico 42.
At Bet365, we're always innovating, creating. It's this constant pursuit of perfection that brought you Bet Builder, live streaming, in-play betting, and match live. It's the reason we're the world's favourite online betting company. Please gamble responsibly.
Mashri.
At Bet365, we're always innovating, creating. It's this constant pursuit of perfection that brought you Bet Builder, live streaming, in-play betting, and match live. It's the reason we're the world's favourite online betting company. Please, gamble responsibly.
Points of Cruz, 7 rebounds. Ion well on his way towards a double-double with 11 points as well. Stoll leading the way creatively with 4 assists for Mexico. The big question, as we've discussed throughout the entirety of this game so far, is can they keep it up? We wondered after the first quarter if they could maintain everything good they were doing into the second. They did that to a large extent, Mexico. Can they keep it going with that shorter rotation, not quite as much strength in depth as Germany through the full 40 minutes, Lloyd?
Yeah, I think the tempo helps with that as well. Through that first half, the tempo probably more towards the way that Mexico would have preferred it than Germany. Even though we're in the 40s, which is a high-scoring game, I think, you know, generally the pace probably suits a team that has less substitutions, less firepower to come in off the bench. So, you know, credit to Mexico there. Paul Stoll especially does a good job of controlling the tempo for his team.
It's such an intriguing format, I guess, for this Olympic qualifying tournament, isn't it? It's only 2 games in the group stage, so you're almost in a do-or-die situation in game 1. You know, if you suffer defeat, there's a real problem for you. You know it's then an absolute must-win on game 2. We play the group stage over the course of today, tomorrow, and Thursday. Then there's a rest day for these players before the semi-finals take place on Saturday, and the final on Sunday to decide who goes to Tokyo 2020. We're going to see the game leaders for Germany here. We've talked about the 8 points of Voetmann as well as the 8 rebounds, 4 of which have come on the offensive glass. He's got a couple of assists as well. Johannes Voetmann, the CSKA star, leading Germany in all departments. But what does that tell you about the way they're running the offense, Lloyd? That he's their assist leader with 2, the team has just 5.
Yeah, I think for Germany, as you said, you know, the difficulty for them is that it's only 2 group games. So you have to play well, and don't forget the other team in this group is Russia. So it's a difficult game for you, first of all. So on one hand, you want to say, well, it's the first 20 minutes of play. We're okay, we've got time, we can improve, we can play better, we can find that offensive rhythm and consistency. On the counter to that is, well, you lose today, that could be it. That could be tournament over for you, no matter what happens in the next game. So, you know, for Germany, it's important to try and find a way to get going. And as I said, you know, on one hand, you say, the depth of the Germans is their advantage, but then the fact that they've rotated, they've played lots of guys, and nobody really has stepped forward. Arguably, Voetmann has done that, but nobody else really has proved to be the leader for this German team. So, as we mentioned in that first 20 minutes, well, when you're coming out of a timeout, where are you going to go for points? Who's going to be the guy that steps up for you? Who is going to be the Paco Cruz for Germany? That's the question. And somebody needs to take that role. I'm not sure who it is at this moment in the way that they've played.
I think what you'd say in terms of the lack of rotation, really, in terms of the quality for Mexico as well, is that they play tomorrow, so there'll be key players who play long minutes in this one for Mexico. We go to the coach now.
Well, we started playing their game, their pace. We have to change that. In the beginning, we got too many easy shots for Cruz. Then we got better, but then gave up straight line drives for guards, which hurt us a lot. Thankfully, due to our offensive rebounding, we're still in the game. I think if we fix these problems, then we should be okay.
80 points by Cruz so far, so how do you need to stop him?
Well, we just need to be more aggressive, be ready. I think we did a better job in the second quarter, so we should keep doing this. And as I said, we're playing their game, their pace. We have to turn it and play our game.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
And the point I was making there is that Germany get a rest day before they play their second game on Thursday against Russia. Mexico have to face Russia tomorrow, having played long minutes in this one.
After the first half, what has been good? What can you build on?
Well, we're doing a great job playing as a team. We're sharing the ball really well, and the only thing is hurting us is the offensive rebounds. They have 12 offensive rebounds, cost us like 18 points, almost a half of the points they have in the first half. But besides that, we're from a player, they're playing hard, and we want to play in the same way the second half.
What about the offensive rhythm? How can you keep it for the second half?
We just gotta keep playing, follow the game plan, and keep sharing the ball. I think we play as a team, defensively, offensively. We want to have the win.
Thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you.
And no surprise hearing Omar Quintero talking about the big problem for them being the offensive rebounds from Germany. It's obvious that's the problem, Lloyd. What can he do about it?
I mean, he nailed it, didn't he? He said, you know, Germany got half their points from offensive rebounds. I think that the game plan's kind of working for us. That's the one thing we've got to change. I think so often you look at the offensive rebounding and you think to, boxing out and you know, the actual rebound. But often for Mexico, the problem has been they've given up penetration. Ion and some of the other big guys have been quick to rotate over to try and take away that drive from Germany, and that's led people to be free for offensive rebounds. Or they've tried to help on the to get out to three-point shooters, and that's given up the offensive rebound for them being out of position. Can they make those adjustments on the perimeter, which means they can stay at home more on the inside? That's the question. And then the other thing is, you know, they're just giving up such size in so many positions. For Mexico, can they find a way to kind of keep, you know, get better matchups? I'm not really sure how they do that with the players they have to be successful offensively. they have to arguably give up something defensively. Offensive rebounds may be it.
What we should say about the tournament, just to clarify as well, is 2 of the 3 teams in each group at the end of the 2 group games each go to the semi-finals. So 1 from each group misses out. And these 2 both desperate to start the campaign with a win. Germany start the second half with the ball. Modo low to their leading scorer and rebounder, Johannes Vogtmann. Vogtmann onto the left hand, looking to go at the basket, dribble, drive all the way through, showing his muscle and his ball handling ability.
Well, Germany in that first half, -10 in points in the paint. And Mexico don't, I know they've got Ion, but they're not a power team. So that shows you it's plays like that Germany need. If they're not going to post up, they should attack the basket hard off the drive.
Ion into the hands of James, who knocks it down completely open on this near side for 3.
Mexico have been so good at getting the shots that they want. So things like that. Ion on the roll, knows where his shooter is, just stationary in the corner. They're the shots that James can make.
First assist of the game for Ion, 5th 3 for Mexico. Entry pass into Giffey, who's fouled, and he'll go to the line for 2.
I like the adjustments for Germany, though. You see post up of Giffey. He's been the one guy who's kind of gone to the inside in their perimeter players. So I like that. I like the intent of them driving at the basket as well.
It pretty much took as many 3-point attempts as they did 2-point attempts, as we discussed in the first half. But Germany's first 2 offenses of the second half, they go to the interior.
It's interesting defensively as well that it's the first time they've really taken away the role from Ion, forced somebody else. So forced Ion, as you mentioned, to be a passer. Let's see if they continue to do that and if Mexico can counter.
Mexico by 2. Giffey just 1 of 2 at the stripe. Inside to Ion. And he's fouled on his route to the rim. He'll go to the line for 2 as well.
Again, when we see the replay, 4 German bodies tried to get there, just not quick enough on the rotation. You see him crowding it out. So, you know, credit to the sideline. I think they're the little adjustments that they're trying to make, that's for sure.
I mentioned he was back in Mexico this season. Gustavo Ion actually led the league in efficiency. Ranked top 10 in every major statistical category. 18.3 points, 10.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists per game. Even we talked about his passing ability just a few moments ago.
Yeah, 135 career NBA games for a reason. Gustavo Ion, you know, offensively and defensively, I don't want to take away credit from that end of the floor, but you know, such an efficient player. We've seen him post up, we've seen him on the roll, we've seen him as a provider. Smart as well in picking what he's doing. So an excellent player. You know, perhaps not the legs he used to at 36 years of age, but make no doubt, if he gets the ball in the low block, it is a very tough cover.
Offensive rebounds for Mexico, giving Germany a taste of their own medicine. Stoll to Ion. Little push shot, falls from mid-range for Gustavo Ion, who's up to 14 points.
Pick and roll defense has been a problem for Germany throughout this game, especially the starting unit. You know, early on we saw Paco Cruz with a lot of space coming off and getting shots, and now Ion is always open on the roll.
Here's Vogtmann, Germany's biggest offensive weapon. Spins, fades away, shoots over the top of Ion, misses. Cruz the rebound. Stoll directing traffic from deep. Here's Ion on the perimeter. Fakes the handoff to Mendes. Paco Cruz against Bonga. Kicks it back out for a 3. Bonga the rebound, but he dropped it. It was touched by Mexican fingertips.
Good possession, good shot. Mendes, he's been super quiet. First shot I remember him taking. He's a guy said he had 20 in one of their warm-up games, so he can be a scorer.
Orlando Mendes averaged over 12 points, 4 assists across the last 4 seasons in Mexico. Shot 46% from 3 last season. Stoll, Mexico by 5. Ion. Stoll again. Ion sets the screen. Ion gets it back, attacks Footman. And Footman forces the miss. Modo low. Wagner looking to take on, or Giffey rather, looking to take on Mendes on the baseline, and a foul.
Again, that's the adjustment. Giffey going into the low block, and Germany have just got to make sure they maintain their space around him. Mexico are going to have to come help in that matchup. So as soon as they come help, that's when they can take those open threes.
Giffey to Footman, 2 very good 3-point shooters. Giffey, Mexico want a turnover, and they get it. The offensive foul called on Niels Giffey.
Great defense from Mendes, got right into the space. Watch this, as soon as he picks up the ball, and made a meal of it for sure, but Giffey just pushed him out of the way. Excellent defense.
Second personal on Giffey, 3 minutes into the second half. Both teams have 2 so far in this quarter. Stoll. Mendes, can he get going on offense on this possession? Passes on to the corner to Paco, who shows some more typical precision.
2 German defenders are running at him. As soon as he called it, they both tried to take away the shot. Neither succeeded, though.
It's 21 points now for Paco Cruz. Bonga attacks and misses, trying to find some momentum and getting it the typical German way off the offensive rebound here this evening.
I mean, if Mexico can clean up their glass, they really could run away with this one.
Ion running at pace and with power, but taking a huge hit for his team. Isaac Bonga putting his body in the way of the big body of Gustavo Ion, taking a hit.
Well, he didn't take it in the middle of his chest, did he? But I tell you what, though, that's a big play. They're the winning type plays from Bonga. The ability or the willingness to take a charge, picking up 3rd foul on Ion.
Yeah, not just because it forces the turnover, but also the 3rd foul on Ion now. And Ion would have desperately wanted not to pick up a 4th, defending that last possession.
Yeah, and that's it. That's why it was a smart play from Wagner, but again, he just couldn't finish at the end.
Stoll from distance, off the mark, rebound secured. Mexico with a couple of offensive rebounds over the last couple of minutes. Ion off the high entry, pass up against Bonga, back out. 3-point shot, hand in his face, misses for Mendes. And now low to the far side. Zaibu takes the 3 in transition. Footman offensive rebound. Both teams are at it now. Isaac Bonga from distance, got it! And the German bench up on their feet as they halve the deficit.
Well, he said momentum and how what one play can create that for a team. Bonga's got an offensive rebound and score, get himself off the mark, then he's got the big defensive play, now he's hit a 3. Is he going to be the guy that creates that little spark for Germany?
Paco Cruz, who sparked Mexico right from the opening tip, misses that. It's a rare miss for him.
And I'll tell you what, though, as well, Bonga, he makes those couple of plays, and all of a sudden he's a little closer to Paco Cruz. Coming off the screen, is a little bit more attached. He actually, gets that challenge in his line of sight as well. So, as we said, plays like that, just hitting the shot, how it can really kind of spiral in a positive way for a team.
Paco Cruz was 9 of 12 from the field for his 21 points before that miss. Right at the midway point of the 3rd quarter, Germany continue to do what they've been doing for the entire game, chasing down this little Mexican lead that they've so far been unable to overcome, and that continues. Quick pass down the floor, Paco Cruz, 2 misses in a row. Mendes puts it up and in with the contact though.
Well, we talked about the foul trouble of Cruz and, you know, Ion in that first half, but Mendes is saying, what about me? He picked up the early fouls, went to the bench. He's been incredible in this second half. What's that, 2, maybe 3 offensive rebounds? He's hit the 3, now a 3-point play as well, you know, showing that not only did Mexico get through the first half without Ion and Cruz picking up extra fouls, with Mendes as well, because he's been a difference maker right now.
He's only 198, the forward, but he's grabbed 4 of his 6 rebounds now on the offensive glass. He's got 5 points in 9 minutes, and he'll go to the line to try and add 1 more.
Yeah, and you know, the thing for me, just the difference between the two ends. We said Mexico making all smart plays. Germany, they come down. Bonga started to get their momentum.
Quarterback pass, intercepted in the end zone.
Yeah, and just 2 straight plays from Germany. Turnover trying to split a ball screen. Why not go back to Bonga? And now trying to find a home run play that's turned over again.
Lurking on the baseline and finishing with the left hand on the reverse, Daniel Amigo.
It's just, you know, Germany making these costly mistakes.
It's the largest lead of the game now for either team. Mexico up by 8 points. Although cause for concern for them with Paul Stoll rolling around on the hardwood. Back on his feet and looking to shake off the impact. But that last basket for Mexico coming off the 10th turnover in the game from Germany, which is 3 more than their opponents. So many fascinating ways that a game in this sport can unravel, Lloyd, but so often you get swings of momentum, which makes it enthralling. Here the enthralling storyline is that it's been the same storyline effectively throughout. It's whether Germany can finally put things right and overhaul this Mexican lead that they've done so well to utilize to hold Germany at arm's length.
Either can Germany start to play better, will Mexico start to play worse, or will both happen? They're the questions, because, you know, again, this Mexican team, warm-up games, you know, they're not the same as the real thing, that's for sure. But
sportsmanlike foul call.
Yeah, so Stoll was fouled, and then it looks like he swung an elbow afterwards to pick up the unsportsmanlike.
And in this unfolding storyline that we talk about, it's almost, in this scenario, like a race to the finish line, isn't it? Who has the energy to go the distance? And that means tired minds as well as tired bodies. Might lead to a few more Mexican miscalculations the longer it goes on.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just saying before that, you know, the Mexican team in preparation, they've struggled to play for a full 40 minutes. So, you know, are they going to be able to do that today, or is Germany, you know, finally going to kind of take off these handcuffs offensively that they've played with for a long spell?
Okay. Thank you. Can we go back to
the officials going to the video to check this one. Plenty of fouls in this third quarter. We've still got close to 4.5 minutes remaining. Mexico at the limit already. Germany 4.
I think credit to the officials here as well. Heady play from them. Saw the incident, called it unsportsmanlike. Now they know they can go to the instant replay to check it, to have a look, to make sure they didn't miss anything. So smart work from our crew.
All of these fouls might lead to plenty of free throw attempts over the remainder of this third quarter. That's been crucial to Germany staying in the fight as well so far. Germany 15 of 21 from the line. Mexico only 4 of 8.
What do you have after the play on 4? Red 4. Do you have the unsportsmanlike foul that I called? Yeah,
It's that bottom left picture that's going to tell
I think
us.
it's just an unsportsmanlike. Yeah. Okay, you agree? C2 criteria. So we're going to go, defensive foul is going to be on 1. Okay. We are not in penalty yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to shoot the 2 free throws for 1, and then Germany's going to have the ball side out 14. Right. Okay. Thank you. I'll be right with you. Confirmed.
So let's get clarity on what the call is here from the officials.
Foul on number 4 after the defensive foul. We're going to shoot 2 shots. Germany's ball, number 1's going to shoot 2. Okay, ball's going to go side to Germany, 14 on the shot clock.
So this is a route back into this third quarter for Germany. The unsportsmanlike foul confirmed. Yoshika Zaibo. And it will go to the line for 2. Germany will have the ball back. We're seeing it again, Lloyd.
I'm not sure, it's difficult to tell still, isn't it? Even on the angles. Referees are convinced though, so we'll go with them. I said they've done a good job to go to the monitor and look at it, so.
A chance for Zaibu to hit 8 points in 10 minutes on court here. 4 of them have come from the foul line. So Germany close the gap to 5 and have the ball back again to try and make it a 1-possession game, having trailed by the largest lead, or the largest deficit of 8 points not too long ago. Bonga to Zaibu. Throws it overhead, blocked on the perimeter. Pulling the trigger on a 3-point shot was Mo Wagner, so he goes to the line to try and make it a 2-point game.
Smart player, Mo Wagner, knew exactly what he was doing. And not only did he sell the fake, get the man to bite, but knew that the foul was coming just by the act of getting into shooting. It's now 3 shots rather than 2. So a good opportunity from him. And what a momentum swing that we keep talking about for Germany. They've gone from, it was a Mexican possession, 2 free throws, and now potentially, 3 points here from the line as well.
We mentioned that Mo Wagner had bounced around 4 different NBA teams last season, but he finished with 11 games at the Orlando Magic, where he averaged career highs of 11 points, 4.9 rebounds in 26 minutes.
Mo Wagner and Bonga on the floor together here, but they've been teammates throughout their NBA careers. Both started at the Lakers, got traded together to the Washington Wizards, where Bonga, finished the season. Wagner, as you said, then got traded on after that to Orlando.
So the latest German attempt at getting themselves in front in this game is well underway. They're back within 2, having trailed by 8. Ayon, Stoll, Mendes, Stoll again. Shot clock down to 5 here. And there's a violation against Mexico and a turnover and a chance for Germany to tie or maybe take the lead.
If I'm Mexico, I don't like any possession that you go where Paco Cruz doesn't touch it. I mean, he has to touch the ball every possession in my eyes.
Fugman. Loaded by Jaimes. Zaibu gets free. Looks to dish off to Bonga, intercepted by Paco Cruz. He's certainly touching the ball on this possession. Down the floor to Ayon, who's fouled on his path through the paint by Wagner.
Paco Cruz just read the pass so beautifully on the defensive end. He was the lone defender, man driving at him, his man open next to him, got the steal, creates the offense for Mexico just from nothing there.
Ayon at the line on 14 points. So he and Cruz have combined for 35 of Mexico's 56 so far. Recovers from missing the first to hit the second. How many times are we going to say Mexico holding off Germany just about? They're up by 3.5 to play in the third. Obst, wide open three-point shot. And they don't get it nor off the tip. Obst shot 51% in the Euro Cup with Ulm this season. Stoll. Guarded by Footman into Ion up against Bonga. Forced to lose the handle on the ball, picked up by Wagner. Bonga. Zaibu in the corner. Guarded by Cruz. Wagner has got the height advantage, then attacks Ion inside and volleys the ball into the basket. Mo Wagner lighting the fuse for Germany.
Yeah, he's played well, Wagner. They've got to keep going to him. Again, another Mexican possession last time out. No touch for Cruz. Here he comes. You know, he's got to get on the ball. And that's why, you know, Paul Stoll needs to give it up earlier. He's done a great job controlling tempo, Stoll, as I said. But now, you know, now's the time he's got to understand. Cruz needs these touches.
It's 23 points for Paco Cruz now, 10 of 15 from the field. We've talked at length about how crucial Cruz and Ion are. They're the only two scorers for Mexico on more than 6 points. Germany, we've started to see their strength in depth and their greater balance on offense. They've got 3 scorers in double figures now. Wagner has just tied Bonga on 11, and Footman has 10. We've got Zaibu on 8 and Low on 7. A chance for Germany to get within 1 or maybe tie. Mexico have 59 points, 57 showing on the graphic. Rebound Ion. He's 1 away from the double-double now. Paco Cruz slicing through, missing. Footman grabs the ball. Germany look to play in transition now. Footman can travel. Obst is open for 3 again, and he wasn't going to miss 2 in a row. The man who shot over 50% on the outside in the Euro Cup this season.
And he's always going to find his range eventually. I think Wagner got a block on that play from Cruz as well. So Mo Wagner, he's been a difference maker for me for this German team. I think he showed the ability to actually knock down the 3, which not many people have for their team. But more than that, you know, a bit of defensive versatility, and we saw him go into the post and kind of create more offensively rather than just be that spot-up guy.
Germany tie the game again at 59 this time. Andreas Obst had missed his first 6 shots in the ball game before knocking down that 3. And we're level with 12 minutes to play. There's Footman leading the fast break. Open 3 for the second time in quick succession for Obst. His first points. And Germany's 6th tie, having trailed for the vast majority of this game. Their only lead by a single point came when the score was 21-22. They've been chasing Mexico down ever since.
And this is where, for Mexico, those big minutes, the challenge becomes a little bit harder. Can they now, against a team in Germany that has some momentum, has some belief in the way that they're playing, now can Mexico step up with yet another big play offensively?
Here's Paco Cruz, the man to try and do that perhaps, along with Gustavo Ion. Ion receives it. The cut into the lane. Jaime's the 3rd option, gets denied. Ion. And a whistle. Foul on the floor.
Real chess match there. Mexico used the ball screen. Germany switch it. So Mexico tried to go to the low post. A double team comes. Then the cut, which is well rejected from the help side. So both teams with a good play, but it's Mexico that ended up on the line.
And such a close game as this one has been. Free throws can be crucial as well. Mexico only 5 of 10 as a team before that one from Gabriel Giron. Germany taking and making more. And they'll take that off a missed foul shot, the tip from Gustavo Ayon. Zaibu. Ayon's up to 17 points and 11 rebounds, the big double-double, with a long way still to go. Obst. Can he find his range again? He can, a couple of feet back. The German sniper hitting the target.
No, he said that Germany are eventually going to get going, and Obst has been that guy, hasn't he? Really struggled early stages, now looking confident.
6 straight misses, 2 straight makes for Andreas Obst. Paco Cruz, 62-62, the 8th time we've had a tie game. Cruz off the crossovers, kicks it out far side, and there's the answer from Mexico from Fabian Jaimes.
Well, he's been brilliant, yeah, again, isn't he? You know, really looked like Germany had control on that possession. Jaimes, though, steps up. Same play.
In 13 minutes for him. Spin under the hoop from Thiemann, back out Obst. He's feeling it right now. Can't make it a hat-trick of 3s here in the 3rd.
Bit of a heat check for him. You know, he was tearing around this near side here in the arena, trying to find some space. He really wanted another look. Didn't hit it though. I like the, you know, Thiemann being in the game. I think, you know, he gives the versatility. He can switch ball screens, which helps defensively, and then he's a power player offensively. They can try and use him on the low block like they did there.
Jorge Camacho comes in to give Gustavo Ayon a breather. 18.4 to play in the 3rd. Paco Cruz looking to add to his 23 points. Actually his first trip to the foul line, despite the amount of times he's attacked on the interior. Is that, Lloyd, a criticism of the German defense, that he's not been to the line more?
Quite possibly. I mean, he's enjoyed a lot of space. You know, I know that I've seen him do this before, and I think lots of people have, that, you know, coming off a ball screen, for me, you've got to take away his game for somebody else to beat you from Mexico. That's the challenge. Germany didn't do that early on.
And they open up a little gap again. 5 points, 3 seconds for Germany to get the shot away. It's Giffey this time for 3, misses it. Now Mexico continue to hold Germany at arm's length with only 10 minutes to play. They lead by 5. And they've led for pretty much the entirety of this game, all but half a minute of it. Germany 62, Mexico 67 at the end of 3.
At Bet365, we're always innovating, creating. It's this constant pursuit of perfection that brought you Bet Builder, live streaming, in-play betting, and match live. It's the reason we're the world's favourite online betting company. Please gamble responsibly.
Pressure is on them more. Don't forget, you know, they've still got to play Russia. This could be it. If Mexico can win this game, that may be enough to see them move forward into the semi-finals of this competition. So a lot of pressure on this German team here. You know, in this final 10 minutes, they need to try and figure it out and put together a solid quarter, which I don't think they've done yet in this game.
Pressure on the coach as well, Henrik Rudel, who's a playing legend for his country, but led the team in that disappointing World Cup campaign in China. His team trailing by 5 at the start of the fourth. Mexico with possession as well, looking to stretch their lead. Paco Cruz, 25 points in the game for him. Gustavo Wyon, who's got 17, not shy to shoot, even from distance, and a foul on Wagner.
Well, Germany switched the ball screen. They triple switched Wagner over to take Ion and the low post as well. And Wagner hasn't moved since he committed the foul, frustrated with himself, I think, because he knows he'd forced Ion into the shot he probably wanted, out on the perimeter a little bit more than Ion's range, and committed a cheap foul.
It's the furthest away Ion's taken any of his 11 shots so far this evening. He gets let off the hook with a trip to the line, where he's 4 of 6 so far.
They're the mistakes that Germany have made that Mexico haven't in this game so far.
6 points the differential, 9.5 minutes to play. Zaibu. On the move, at pace, and a lovely floater from Yoshiko Zaibu. Estrada to the far side. Quick shot, Paco Cruz misses. Rebound secured by Wagner. Here's Zaibu again. He's been a live wire for Germany. Thiemann tries to create space for Obst to do his thing, and Obst able to fire again.
He's started to find that range, or he's found it now, hasn't he? Smarter play. He had the early shot, gave it up, waited for a better opportunity.
Ion, was that an offensive foul? It was, against Gustavo Wyon, who can't believe the call. Not just an offensive foul and a turnover, but a 4th personal on Ion.
Let's have a look. Yeah, well, Mexico got one very similar in the first half. Do you remember Mendes got into the man? I can't remember who it was. I think it was Giffey from Germany. And Mexico got the call there. So referees being consistent, I'll give them that. It looked very similar. A big call for the 4th on Ion.
Zaibu looking to wriggle free again, back out. Thiemann puts the ball on the floor, but he's called for a travel and turns it over. So when Mexico do make a mistake, Germany can't quite capitalize.
Question for Mexico, are they going to let this roll here with Ion? 4 fouls. You know, the question always is, you sub him out now and he stays on the game, you know, leave him for 3-4 minutes and he stays on at the end. Well, you possibly lost 3 or 4 minutes of him being on the floor. And they've decided to go with him, and they're going to use him offensively, which I think they've got to through these next couple of minutes. Now, if Ion's out there, use him, try and build up a lead, that if he does foul out, at least you have that advantage.
And that's the quiz for Quintero.
Yeah.
Can he find the answer that carries Mexico to a Game 1 win? Cruz up against Obst. 2 hot shots. Stoll. And there's a travel called on Mexico. The turnover's starting to become thick and fast from both teams.
That's the pressure that I think we talked about for both teams now. Mexico knowing that they've got the chance here. See, you know, Stoll, yeah, just shuffled those feet. Same thing for Germany. They know they've got to make a run sooner or later, or this time is just going to tick away.
Vogtmann hasn't been as dominant in the second half as he was in the first for Germany. And there's a foul from James, who is looking to steal it.
There was a groan from the bench, but it didn't deserve a groan. Clear foul on James.
Germany haven't led since the opening couple of minutes of the second quarter. And they were looking to try and tie or maybe take the lead on that possession, but again they come up short.
Just brilliant from Mexico there. You know, that's an Ion, 4 fouls in a double team, just out of nothing. Germany not expecting it. Put it in coffin corner. They just inbounded the ball right into the point where the halfway line meets the sideline. Giffey in loads of trouble. So great play from Mexico defensively.
Ion leading by example. With quality and character for Mexico. Receives the ball on the inbound up against Thiemann, one of Germany's biggest players. Ion across to the far side, 3-point shot. Ribs out for Ramos. Zaibu, Germany come again, looking to tie once more. Zaibu slices through, misses, and a whistle, and a technical.
There's not loads in it, but you know the trouble for Mexico is they've complained about a couple of calls that are clear fouls. So now they've been riding the referees, who are frustrated. Give them a technical foul, and we said, you know, Germany have made a lot of mistakes tactically. They've made a lot of decision-making mistakes on the floor, but Mexico now making these little mistakes like this are just as bad. Why would you give this extra point to Germany?
Frustration creeping in. You didn't quite see it on those pictures, but Paul Stoll was very animated in his protest and then kicked the side of the advertising board as he walked across towards the scorer's table. Germany 21 of 27 from the free throw line. Tag one more to that tally as they tie. And now a chance for the lead for the first time since 21-22 on the scoreboard.
Well, they've had the response whenever Germany have managed to tie the game. How are they going to respond now? Germany have taken the lead. It's the question. Again, a lot of possessions without Paco Cruz touching the ball.
Ion on 4 fouls, out to Giron, guarded by Bonga, back to Cruz, working behind the frame of Ion. It's Giron with a hand in his face from Bonga, misses, Thiemann the rebound. And here comes Germany, picking up pace when it matters the most. Zaibu, he's been crucial to the comeback. 13 points now to lead Germany in scoring in just 17 minutes. And he gets free in the paint again. And then forced to put the brakes on and misses due to the presence of Ramos.
Overthinking it on that end of the floor, Germany. They spread the floor, just go at Ion. He's not going to commit a foul on the screen.
Stoll up high, almost went in as he was looking for the alley-oop towards Ion. Here's Futman up against Ramos. Couldn't find the angle. Cruz. It's getting a bit scrappy, a bit flustered for both teams. Thiemann looking to take advantage of that. There is the Thiemann takeoff. And Germany have liftoff here in the fourth quarter. They lead Mexico by 3.
And this is the moment for Germany right here to win this game. Mexico frustrated, questioning the referees, a lot of chat going on. And, you know, for the German team, they just got to play with some freedom. They had opportunity to score twice in transition, overthought it really. They just got to start to play because Mexico have lost their heads here for a couple of minutes. Look at the shot selection of the Mexicans. Last 2 possessions, who is it that's shooting? Marco Ramos takes one, and then last time out, Giron takes a 3 as well. These are the times for Mexico. It's all well and good, Paco Cruz, you know, having 11 points in the first quarter or early on. Now is the time. Everybody else spread the floor. They're only taking shots because everybody stops Paco Cruz. I think other guys were a little quick to take the shots and they didn't do a very good job of getting Cruz the ball. Now, the other side of that is that the German, the defense that's taken it away. If so, credit to the Germans, and that's what they've got to continue to do. Don't let Paco Cruz beat you. Force somebody else to step up and make these shots here is my kind of read on it. It'll be interesting to see if that's what Germany continue to do.
You saw on the German bench there on those pictures exactly what it meant to them to finally get themselves in front and by more than just a single point. Henrik Rudel, very emotional. Germany frustrated in that regard for the first 30+ minutes of this game. Now it's the seed of doubt that's been planted in Mexican minds. Paco Cruz, can he pick them back up? Up against Tiemann, inside to Ion, who's fouled by Bonga straight away on the entry pass.
See, that's the difference. That's how they started the game. Little zipper entry where Cruz starts low, he comes up to the middle, gets the screen from Ion, and it's almost those two playing in the middle section of the floor. Everybody else just spaced around them.
Only 1 point for Mexico in the opening 4 minutes of the fourth quarter. They'd hit 20 or more in each of the first 3 quarters. Not the big illustration as to how they've apparently run out of steam, but they're going to try and pick it back up with Paco. 28 for the game.
Great pass from Mendes. It's kind of falling out of bounds, but just, you know, right on the money to Cruz as the shot clock was winding down as well.
He's 4 of 7 on the outside. En route to those 28 points. Zaibu completely free for the long 2. That's 15 points in 19 minutes for him.
Ion is not going to show on a ball screen now with the 4 fouls. He's just basically saying, we're going to let you take that shot, see if you can make it.
Germany by 2. 5.5 to play. Paco Cruz brings Footman out. Crossover. Pulls up for the 3, misses. Ion the offensive rebound. Continuing to improve on his already double-double performance. 18 points, 13 boards now. Quick catch and shot over the top of Obst from Mendes. It's been a tough game for him. Mendes 0 of 6 from the field now.
Yeah. Smarter play from Germany. Just clear everybody out of the way. Attack Ion once more.
Germany looking to make this their largest lead. Obst off the mark, though, open for 3. Ion. Here's Cruz. On the verge of a 30-point night. Paco Cruz to Ion. Here's Mendes again. Ramos onto the corner. Paco Cruz, the primary option. Once again, tough shot though, contested all the way.
Right now, Germany just need to keep this tempo high. Ion struggling, Cruz is struggling.
Struggling to get back on defense, and Andreas Obst rubbing salt in Mexican wounds.
Oh, the tempo just built up with Mexico there. You know, Ion asked for a sub 2 possessions ago. Just couldn't get up and down the floor at the pace of the Germans. And credit to them, what did they do? They found their best shooter with a shot in the right moment.
Obst with that 3, becoming the 5th German player to hit double figures, all 11 of his points coming since half-time. Timeout Mexico, they trail by 5. It's Germany's largest lead, and it comes with just over 4 minutes to play.
Still plenty of time for Mexico, but you just... The reaction of them going into the timeout was almost like this game's done. You know, that's the challenge. They really did put it all out on the floor for the first 35 minutes, and it's almost like now, well, we tried and we didn't do it. So they've got to find a way to re-establish themselves here. You know, can they just get a couple of baskets, a couple of plays that are going to give them that momentum back? Germany just seem to figure them out offensively as well. They're spacing the floor. They're trying to get downhill a little bit better against Ion, and then that's forcing rotation. When the rotation comes, that's when they're getting the open 3.
Mexico far from mathematically beaten, but they do to a certain extent, as you say, look psychologically and physically beaten right now.
Yeah, I mean, 5 points, 4 minutes, it's nothing.
2 possessions.
Yeah, there's so much time for them to get back into this game. That's not a problem at all.
They've got to find a second win.
Yeah, you just feel like Germany's got that momentum now. They feel like, you know, they can get out in the open floor, they can get easy shots, you know, whereas for Mexico, everything is hard work on the offensive end.
Stoll. Out of that Mexican timeout, what have they got? Up against Futman, just a static 3 for Stoll, and Zaibu a rebound. That's his 5th to go along with 15 points.
Yeah, no changes, same play from Germany, even though it's not Ion. Yeah, so actually they did change in the end. Obst to come underneath, and he was going to try and step out and shoot the 3. But smart from them.
We talked about Germany's failure from the perimeter early on. It's Mexico now that are struggling in that regard. 8 of 25 from three-point range after that miss from Stoll. What did you make of that offense off the back of the timeout? Not much imagination.
No, now the Germans have started to switch those ball screens. So that Stoll attacked to the right matchup, but just didn't hit the 3.
Bonga fouled by Cruz. Trip to the line for 2.
It's all the things that we've been talking about. So what did they do? They came out, went to the power game, went to the low post, knowing that help was going to come, and then there's Bonga on the cut. Why didn't we see this in the first half when he was 0 of 6? That's what I want to know.
Germany have figured it out in the end, and they're looking to make this now their largest lead, or extend what already is their largest lead, with Bonga out the line where he's 2 of 2 so far. 11 points, 8 rebounds.
He's given him a tough time in that first half by Paco Cruz, wasn't he? Really, you know, put him to task on the defensive end, but Bonga's responded well. Come up with, you know, with a positive performance in the second half.
The youngest German international in 40 years when he made his senior debut at the age of 18 years and 3 months in a World Cup qualifier against Serbia in 2018. He's only 21 now, the NBA. Paco Cruz off the foot of Thiemann. Mexico down 7, only 3.5 to play. Cruz. Can he rekindle the Mexican flame? The man who started the game on fire. Stoll. Mendes, low catch, adjustment, 3-point shot. Again, he struggles. Ion, he misses as well. Third chance scoring opportunity. Stoll for 3. And they'll get another go. Germany have to dig their heels in on defense. Shot clock to 6. Stoll, nowhere to go at the moment. Mendes, he's missed all of his shots so far. He's got to get it away, does so just in time. And Germany celebrate a sequence of defensive stops.
Yeah, just fantastic defense when it matters from Germany. Yes, they gave up an offensive rebound, but everything else on point.
Mendes 0 of 8 from the field now. Ion looking to get back and intercept before it reached Futman. It's over the baseline and still in German hands. The score here, you feel, for Germany would be huge. It would make it the out-and-out largest lead for either team in the game.
Coach Roeder feels the same way, calling the timeout. You know, going to draw something up to make sure they get a good shot. Question is who they're going to go to. They could go knockout blow, Obst for a 3. And I think something with Bonga slash into the basket for sure. And the opportunity for Obst, if he is open to get a good clean look, would be a smart idea for Germany coming out of this timeout.
They've certainly now got plenty of options. 5 scorers in double figures in this one for Germany. And they've improved the longer this game day 1 contest has gone on. See the rebounds by quarter there, but what that tells you about Germany in the first half is they were missing plenty of shots. But those rebounds, those offensive rebounds early on, kept them in the game, and from there they've been able to find their flow.
They didn't play well in the first 20 minutes, but they did come out, as you said, with those plays that kept them in the game. And that's important. When you look back on tournaments, when you look back on competitions, it's winning when you haven't played at your best is really important. It's really easy when you're flowing and you make every three and everything's rolling to win those games. But when you aren't playing well, when Obst is 0 of 6, when everybody's struggling, how do you win in those occasions?
5 of their 14 offensive rebounds have come from Johannes Voetman, who we've just seen there has confirmed his double-double. 10 points, 10 boards altogether, 3 assists as well. Zaibu's inbound to Voetman. Voetman looking back out. Tiemann is going to take the three-point shot. Not really his game. He misses it. Voetman bats it back. And out of bounds at center court, almost into our commentary position. It's going to be a Mexican ball, 2.5 minutes to play, down by 7.
Mexico would have had the chance to draw something up as well. So it'd be interesting to see, can they get something going here?
Almost at the stage where they need something. Paco Cruz, the most likely option to provide it. Stoll, touch-tight defense almost in the corner, trapped, can't find a way out. Zaibu then tangled up by the long limbs of Gustavo Wayon, and a whistle.
Something that's kind of not on the stat column. Johannes Tiemann's ability to switch the ball screen has just completely changed this game for Germany. In so much, and the last play, you know, Mexico have now started to try and use James as the ball screener so that Tiemann isn't able to switch that ball screen. Trying to attack against Voetman on the switch instead. But he did a good job keeping Cruz out of the lane there.
Voetman. Obst back to Zaibu. High pick from Tiemann, who rolls back inside. Zaibu dancing with the defense, finds Tiemann. Has the ball rocked from him. Inside the final 2 minutes. Mexico haven't had anything of any real note in quite some time. Now is the time. Stoll, Ayon, the needle threaded with the bounce pass through to him, but even Ayon missing close to the basket. And it looks as though Mexico have run out of steam.
And that summed it up, didn't it? Just 4 points here in the fourth quarter for Mexico. Great opportunity for Ayon.
Tiemann to put another nail in the coffin. And Germany lead by 9, largest lead of the evening. And it comes with only 75 seconds or so to play. Stoll misses the 3. James, offensive foul. It's come off the rails for Mexico.
Oh man, Tiemann again. Defensive play. And I think he's changed the game. Not in the stat column. What is he? 17 minutes. He's got you know, just 6.7 rebounds, but plus 12 on the plus minus as well. So not always the best indicator of a great performance, but I think, you know, his ability to come in and do what other guys haven't done for Germany and really take away the pick and roll, really take away the threat of Paco Cruz has been instrumental in this victory for Germany if they can go on and get it now.
A joint team high 2 steals as well for Johannes Tiemann along with Yoshiko Zaibu. Talk about Germany not being at their best on offense, having to grind out a performance here. Defense so crucial to that, particularly in the second half. Tiemann, corner 3. Final minute, 9-point deficit.
There's still time for Mexico, but they've got to go quickly. Isn't really the way they've played up until now.
Precious seconds ticking away. Mendes. He'll get his shot away. And he just had to knock it down, didn't he? Having missed his first 8 attempts this evening.
The other thing is points difference. If there is a 3-way tie, is important.
6-point gap between the two here. Mexico need a defensive stop. They need it quickly. Still Germany possession, 5 to shoot. Only 13.5 seconds remaining after that. We'll go to the 2 benches. Germany call a timeout to try and finish this once and for all.
Yeah, for Mexico, they're choosing not to foul because of the 3-way tie possibilities. So for them, they've almost accepted defeat in this game, but they want to make it as close as possible. So if they can come away with a stop and a 3 at the other end or a score, you know, that's good for them as far as they're concerned. If there is the 3-way, you know, each team winning 1 game, at the end of the group stages, it will go to the points difference between the games. So a close loss is really important.
And that is so significant given it's only a 3-team group. Each team only playing 2 games in the group stage. We talked already about how Mexico's next game comes against Russia tomorrow. Germany then take on Russia the following day. But just a reminder, this is only one of the 2 groups taking place here in Split in this Olympic qualifying tournament. Group B gets underway later on with Tunisia against Brazil. Croatia, the other team, the hosts in that group, will play their first game tomorrow. The top 2 from each group go to the semi-finals. The winner to the finals and the prize a ticket to Tokyo 2020. Fugman into Zaibu on the turn, got it. What a second half. Yoshiko Zaibu's had 17 points in the game. And Germany have got the win here, but by how many? 4 to shoot, 1 more for Paco Cruz, pulling the trigger, fouled on a 3 by Bonga. And that could be so crucial when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and Bonga complains it was right in front of the official. A clear call right in front of us in our commentary position. It's just not a sensible play, and like you said, it could be crucial, this.
That's the difference between an 8-point and a 5-point margin, potentially. It's also a chance now for Paco Cruz to make it a 30-plus point performance. It's on 29, 2 more to come. .8 seconds remaining for one final shot, perhaps, for Germany. In fact, he threw up the miss intentionally. Bonga grabs the rebound, and we are done with a 6-point margin. Germany really did have to grind it out, trailing for the vast majority of the opening 3 quarters, but they get there in the end. They went through the gears slowly, but found full force down the finish to pull away and beat Mexico by 6, 82-76 in game 1.
I think in that 4th quarter, you summed it up, where you said Germany had ground out a performance, and that's exactly what it was. It's not one they're going to be happy with. It's not one they're going to remember, but at the end of the day, it's a win, and that's the most important thing to start this competition. They found a solution in that 4th quarter. They really locked in defensively, holding Mexico to just 9 points. So, you know, I think credit to them and the way they adjusted as the game went on, but still a lot of work if they want to be one of the favorites here.
Germany get the day to prepare, the extra day now, of course, ahead of Russia in a couple of days' time. That becomes must-win against Russia for Mexico tomorrow. Something to build from for Germany, despite a difficult evening on offense, where they shot just 24% from 3-point range. Didn't go on the inside too often in the first half, but from the free throw line, 25 points at a high percentage. And offensive rebounds crucial for them, 14 to 13 the overall count, but so many of those for Germany coming in the first half when they needed the second chance scoring opportunities to remain close to Mexico. 30-point game for Paco Cruz to lead all scorers. Ion, the second leading scorer in the game as well, with 18, but only 2 double-digit scorers for Mexico and 5 for Germany, which kind of sums up what we were saying from the start, Lloyd, about the extra strength in depth and balance that the Germans possess.
Well, I think, you know, for me, the game plan or the way they started the game was wrong for Germany. So, you know, you'll look at that and you'll be frustrated, but I think credit to the way they were able to change the game, and the guys coming in off the bench were able to do that, especially for the Germans. We talked about Thiemann and his ability to defensively make those changes, but also think that, as you said, Zaibu coming in, and his ability to be the guy that gets downhill against or in the pick and roll for them offensively. And that in the second half created everything. he was able to come off the screen, be a little bit more aggressive, hit a couple of the pull-up shots, and then got to the lane where he would force help, where he would find somebody open. So just those two changes of guys coming in, for me, were a difference for Germany. And, you know, on the other side, Mexico just didn't have that. Guys we expected to be game changers for them. Orlando Mendes just 1 of 9 from the field. In his 25 minutes, they just didn't have anybody have that same impact or ability to change the way the game went.
And as you rightly said as well, defense, the real platform from which Germany built. It wasn't pretty basketball for the most part from the Germans, but defense helping them get the job done. They held Mexico to just 9 points over the last 10 minutes. Mexico had hit at least 20 in each of the first 3 quarters and 25 points in the third, the biggest offensive output in a quarter for either team in the game. But the German defense showed up when it mattered the most, and Thiemann was crucial to that, wasn't he? And the steal, 1 of 2 for him, leading to the breakaway dunk.
Well, we said throughout the game it was a bit of both. You know, Mexico just, the offense just looked tired in that 4th quarter. Didn't have the zip, didn't have the energy, didn't have the right guys touching the ball for them. But credit to the German defense as well, because, you know, some of that was caused by decisions from Mexico, tiredness from Mexico, but the other part of it was definitely caused by a big step up from the Germans.
And it's going to take some recovery and performance for Mexico now to go forward in this tournament, isn't it? Against Russia tomorrow, you look at the minutes. Paco Cruz, 38 minutes on court, 33 for Stoll, and 31 for Ion. These are veterans playing long minutes. They have to go again against Russia tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, Paco Cruz, he consistently does that. I don't think that'll be a problem for him. You know, we saw in that 4th quarter, Ion calling for a sub, he needed it. And I think no surprises. You know, the Russian coaches are here watching now. They've seen the game plan. You've got to dig in defensively. You've got to take away Paco Cruz, and then you've got to push the offensive tempo.
So Russia not in action until they face Mexico tomorrow. Germany win the first game in Group A here in this Olympic qualifying tournament in Split. So they go top of the group for now. There's plenty more to come, with Tunisia taking on Brazil to start Group B in just over an hour's time. Until then, it's goodbye from us.